Oop, no, no, didn't want to do that. Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Let's make sure that we're well lighted, as it is quite dark outside. So we want to make sure that there's light everywhere. That makes it all clear? Okay. So how are you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing, my loves? Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to be here with you as always. First, you build, and then you bless. That is our topic for today. First, you build, then you bless. Okay, because some people get this order really, really badly wrong and end up in a mess. And we'll talk. I'll talk through a few things around this. Now, do I remember what the affirmation is for today? I rise, I rise, I rise. I come out on top. I'm a champion. I rise. That's our affirmation for today. I come out on top. I am a champion. I rise. And yes, that's our affirmation. Let's start with that. Deep breath in and out. Whew. I come out on top, I'm a champion. 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 I rise, I rise, I rise, I rise. I come out on top, I'm a champion. I rise, I rise, I rise, I rise. I come out on top, I'm a champion. I come out on top, I'm a champion. So that's our affirmation for the week. I come out on top. I am a champion. I want you to remember that. You're rising, 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 rising. I'm Rosemary 99, by the way. I am the prosperity minister, and I am a business coach for ambitious spiritual people determined to thrive, to prosper, to make at least six figures whilst living in their purpose. I believe that we are meant to live free, fulfilled, financially abundant, love drenched lives if we will claim it. And this is one area where it's absolutely critical that you do not get the order wrong. Okay. There is, because you're ambitious, yes, but also because you're a good-hearted spiritual person, there's a tendency to want to give back before you're ready to give back. I remember actually listening to a guy called 50 Cent, isn't it? Curtis Jackson. He's done a whole book, Think Hustle Harder or something. I actually really enjoyed the book. I listened to it, and one of the things that he helped me clarify my thinking around was this idea of, and this happens with ethnic minorities, particularly not all ethnic minorities, but Black people. Okay, whether you're Black or white or yellow or whatever, this is relevant to you. Okay, but I do know that this happens in Black communities, particularly, as well as other communities where people have grown up in struggle. Then there's a tendency that the moment you start seeing any kind of success, you want to go back and give back to every single other soul out there. You want to help everyone. You want to change everybody's lives. And it sounds amazing. It sounds great. The problem for you, for most of you, is that you are not yet in a solid place of strength. And so whatever you try to do immediately is probably going to mess up whatever you're trying to do. And you end up being dragged back down into the nonsense, into the mire. And all because you think you are called in some way to serve people who are not yet ready to actually elevate. I was just speaking to someone, that's what gave me the idea for this live stream this evening, was I was just speaking to someone who was trying to get his business off the ground, and he's really trying. Now he's one person, he's a way shower in his environment, but he's not at that place yet where people are looking to him. Well, I mean, some people are, but he's not quite got to that place of strength. And he's already talking about, and as we were talking through, because it was a discovery session, and he was talking about how he really wants to help the people in his world to elevate, because he's learned some stuff. He can see how, where the struggle is coming from. They do not have to struggle this way. So he wants to really help them. But the problem that I can hear when I'm hearing people say this to me, and I can't tell you the number of spiritual people I have come on the phone to me talking about how they want to start orphanages, and they want to help the youth, and they want to help the homeless, and they want to do this. And usually because they have gone through these situations themselves, they want to go back and help anybody else going through this situation too. Um, the problem being that they're usually not in a place yet, which is why I call this live stream first you build and then you bless. I remember as well being that becoming a pharmacist and thinking I'm now blessed to be a blessing and getting myself into even more debt, getting myself to the point where I had to go bankrupt, or at least that's how I felt at that point with the knowledge I had at that time. I went bankrupt in order to offset the nonsensical choices I was making because I hadn't built. I thought that just because I had a little bit extra money coming in, now I'm now in a position of strength and I should be able to help everybody, except I wasn't there yet. And so listening to this guy as well and saying to him, so how do you think your business is going to grow if you're spending all of your energy pulling people up that are not yet ready to admit that something is wrong? They may need what you have to offer, but if they do not want it, you are going to have a very hard time building a business around people who do not want what you have to offer. And as we are people who want to live in line with our purpose, okay, you want to give back, you want to make a difference, you really need to understand this. I sometimes say it's as simple as God did not call you to serve broke people. And that can sound sometimes quite harsh, but actually, what I really truly mean is it's broke minded people, people who are not yet ready to actually elevate anything. But you, because you've come from where they were, you want to help them, but they don't want to help themselves. And so then you spend a heck of a lot of your energy trying to get them to see things the way you want them to see it, and it doesn't work. If anything, it leads to emotional burnout. It really does. And I remember getting to that point where I had started to doubt completely my ability to help anyone. But then I went to a conference, got myself to an elevated state, and I realized no, the problem was not me. Well, it was in that I was drawing to myself people who were not at all in any way, shape, or form ready for change. They did not want to transform their lives. They just wanted all the free stuff. They wanted to feel good for a few seconds, but they didn't actually want to change anything. And so there I am trying to make them change. And it's exhausting. And not only is it emotionally exhausting to you, it's financially draining, but it also makes you doubt your calling. It makes you doubt your purpose. It makes you doubt your ability to help anyone because you're surrounding yourselves with all these people who do not have any intention whatsoever of doing anything to change their life. They just like to complain about it. They notice that there's something wrong, but they don't actually want to do anything to change anything. And there you are trying so hard because you've elevated, you've lifted yourself up. You are trying so hard to get them to see what is possible for them. And you're trying to build a business around people who are reluctant to change. Can you see how that could cause your business never to grow? You build a solid business, solid income streams coming through before you even consider going back, if you should even ever go back. Because that was the one thing this 50 Cent dude said. He was like, just don't even go back. Let them come and find you, which actually is a better way to do things. Let them come and find you. Yes, people have something to say about it, particularly some people close to you, or some people in your extended family or whatever. They may not necessarily be close to you, but they're in your extended family or your friends, friend groups or your old friend groups. They may have something to say about it, like, oh, you're just about the money now. We don't really like you anymore because blah, blah, blah. And can't you see that we're suffering? Why can't you come and help us? And all of that stuff that they guilt you into doing things. And the guilt, trying to make a decision based on guilt, again, is a recipe for business destruction, vision destruction, okay? Because it's going to be a financial drain, okay? Because you're not yet in a financially powerful place. You think you have a little bit of extra money, so now you want to bless every single person out there. But actually, all it does is end up draining your resources as you try one. In business, it ends up with people underpricing or under earning because you're underselling everything that you want. Because like this person I was speaking to was talking about how there's a paywall in front of everything that the people need to help themselves. You forget that there was a paywall in front of you, but you made a choice to pay to get yourself out. And you are not the exception to the rule. You are not so ahead of everyone that they can't make the same choice. They're choosing not to, whereas you chose to get over the paywall. but then you are trying to make it easy for them by reducing the paywall or removing it completely so that they can just access all the resources for free and then not use it because they haven't done what you did to get where you're going. The journey is essential. The journey is essential for growth. Just giving things away to people who haven't demonstrated the strength of character or will to change and transform their lives is a recipe for keeping them weak. And you think you're helping, but actually you are keeping them weak. And not only that, you then end up in a very financially precarious position. Okay. It doesn't serve anyone for you to do this. It limits your ability to then invest in your business. So then your business stalls, your success becomes really, really distant for you. How does this help, really? I've already mentioned the fact that there's emotional burnout as well, because if you're continually trying to force people who do not want to transform their lives, it's not going to work. You're going to drain your own energy to try and support people who do not give a hoot, basically. Now, they may say with their mouth that they want help and they want this and they want the other, but then they demonstrate with their actions that they do not. And you being the lovely person, but actually, honey, it's codependent person, the people pleasing person, you are trying so hard to be the rock for every single person out there. And then it means that you will neglect your own mental health, leaving you in a really burnt out position. Stop this. Stop this. Or then you may spend so much time mentoring, advising people who, again, they're not committed to moving forward. And so that's taking you away from using your energy, using your using your time and your energy and your resources to build your own business. So it's diverting energy and time away from things that could actually grow your own thing. You do not, you're not yet there. First you build and then you bless. Guilt, I've already mentioned this, but I'll mention it again. Guilt is never a good reason to make a choice. If you're making choices from guilt rather than strategy, it will lead to poor results. Okay, because you're not focusing on your goal, you're focusing on how you feel. And I say this all the time: we must feel our feelings, but we act on our goals. Okay, so there you are underpricing your services because you want to make them accessible to every single person, even when it undercuts your value, which means then you don't have any money to invest in the business. But you acted from guilt. Your guilt said, oh, in fact, even this person that I was speaking to was talking about survivor guilt because he got himself out of the mess. And now he's looking back at everybody who is still stuck in the mess and feeling guilty about the fact that he somehow managed to get himself out, but they're still stuck. And so he's making choices based on that guilt instead of choices based on the goal. Okay. So this is what I mean when I say you act on your goals. You feel your feelings. Okay. You feel guilty, but then you notice, is this guilt actually legitimate for real? And then if you can't do it yourself, get a mentor, get somebody to help you see where you are getting in your own way, for goodness sake. Because if you keep making guilt-driven decisions, you can be sure that your business will not grow in the way that you want it to. Your vision will not grow. Even we're talking about relationships, we're going to say the relationships you're going to go into because you're feeling guilty are not going to be great relationships at all. And then you'll wonder why all the good people are gone. That's because you're searching amongst the crazy people and telling yourself that you have to because you're trying to elevate the nations. Okay, maybe using a relationship is a bit of a weird analogy there, but it can happen where you're making choices based on guilt because you're feeling sorry for someone, then you start to go into a relationship with them. How is that going to help anything? Constantly bailing people out as well, when it just ultimately enables them to be dependent on you, teaches them to be weak, teaches them to feel helpless instead of empowering them to find their own solutions. And yes, sometimes tough love is tough on the person who is trying to do the loving, okay? Not just on the person receiving the tough love, but you have to do it at times. At times, you just simply need to do it. You are not supposed to be savior of the world. You are not called to be savior of the world. You are called to specific people, particularly at the start of your business. Well, you are, it doesn't matter, start of business, the middle of business, whatever. If you want to start a nonprofit or you want to start some kind of charity, something, you can do that when you're in a position of strength. Again, first you build and then you start to bless. You can't do it from the start. You can't. It will drain you, and it will stop you from ever having the impact that you would like to have. Okay, it spreads you too thin because you get overly involved in other people's problems. Like even when I started my property business, one of the reasons why I had to get a property manager in, apart from, yeah, it makes good sense, was that I was getting way too engaged in my tenants' problems and issues, and getting drawn into their dramas and everything, which meant I wasn't given time to grow in my business. Okay, and so it started to stall. That was one of the reasons why it stalled. And so the same goes with any business here. If you end up being that available to every single person out there because you're trying so hard to give back, that now you've seen the light, you want to make sure everybody else sees the light, and all of this stuff, this belief that you have that you are the solution to everybody's problems. Now, if you really look at it, you realize there's a heck of a lot of pride going on in there. And there's also this feeling that you're somehow stronger than everybody else. If you don't do it, nobody else can. And all of that stuff that you start telling yourself and really believe it's true. But it's not, because everybody is powerful in their own right. Everybody is one with the divine. Everybody has God within them, God power within them to create whatever they want to create. They're just choosing not to use it. And you are enabling them in not having to use it, whilst telling yourself that you are blessing them. You are not blessing them. If anything, you are cursing them and yourself. So it is not wise to act in this way. Okay. It will, as I've already mentioned, it will reduce your confidence because you're trying to help people who do not want to be helped. And so then you'll start telling stories about yourself, that it's because you are not good enough. It's because you are not, obviously you're not skilled enough, because if you were skilled enough, then everybody would change. You'd be able to say certain words and their life would change and blah, 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 blah. And it's a nonsense of a nonsense, but it's a nonsense that you start to believe, okay? Which then affects how you show up for even the ones that you are actually called to serve right now, okay? This idea that you must give back immediately, it is not a good idea. First, you build, and then way in the future, you bless. Well, maybe not way in the future. It all depends on how rapidly you grow your own business and your own goals, okay? The other thing is that it could also strain your relationships, the good relationships in your life, because you're spending so much time supporting. I see this happening with very zealous religious people, where they're given all of their energy and time to supporting all of their church members, or the whatever religious organization members, and their own children are suffering. And then you see where children just walk away from their faith, walk away from their religion, because they watch their parents ignoring them their whole childhood. And then the parents are like, oh, what have I done? What you did was not pay any attention to your own children whilst trying to help every single other person out there. And okay, that's just one example, but this can show up in all kinds of different ways, where you're giving so much energy to people who are not ready yet for change. Instead of asking them to come up and meet you, you are trying to go down to meet them and pull them up. There's a reason why they're still down there. And it isn't because they can't find out. After all, you were down there and you found out. You were down there and you made a decision to step up here. They get to choose that too. They get to choose that too. And as I already said, they need that journey in order to be someone who keeps the blessing, who keeps the breakthrough. Okay. When you're also investing in all these other people with your time, your energy, and your money, you're not investing in your own growth. You're not investing time, energy, or money in your own business, which again is going to destroy the vision. If you keep spending all the babies that you make without reinvesting some of those babies, I know that's a weird analogy again, but it's like I've always said to clients, we do not spend the babies. So when you make initial money, you reinvest that money. And then maybe you can spend what comes out of that reinvestment. Not if you keep spending the investment immediately. No, if you keep investing, or if you keep spending the initial profits instead of reinvesting, then your business, again, is going to be stalled because there's no money coming in, or you're not allowing the money that is coming in to enable it to grow. And so you're causing your own stagnation whilst telling yourself that you have no choice and you have to help everybody and da la 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 la. It's nonsense, it's nonsense, it's nonsense. And the worst thing of all is that in the end, yes, you are called to make a difference to a whole lot of people. But unless you allow your business to grow, you will never have the resources to reach the lots of people. You have to have the wisdom to know when it is time to bless somebody else and when it is time to hold back. Allow them to come up and ask for the support rather than you going down to pull them up. I talked about the underground and this throne room. You need to stay on your throne. Everybody has access to their throne. Everyone does. They need to, and they can ask you for help to come up to their throne, but they need to be the ones asking you, not you trying to make them do things. And you might say to yourself, yeah, but if they're young people, they can't do that yet. Well, you're not in a position just yet to help young people. When you have so much income coming in that there is a surplus that you can start some kind of non-profit organization, fine, do what you like then. But for right now, first you build and then you bless. Okay? This guilt that we feel sometimes about whether we're doing enough for the community that we've come from, enough giving into that, enough allowing other people to manipulate you because they will. There's no doubt about it. Okay. If people are used to you being available to them whenever they want you, they will take advantage of you. Yes, Mercy, you build and then you bless. It is a word. It is the word. Okay. I really need you guys to fully appreciate this. Fully appreciate this. First, you build, then you bless. Stop trying to be all things to all people before you're ready to be anything to anyone. First, you build, then you bless. Okay? Okay. So we're going to end here today. I really want you to consider what I've talked about. And tell me in the comments if what it apply, how does it apply to you? Has it shown up in your life? Is it something that you've done in the past and maybe seen the destruction that follows? Or is it something you're doing right now and starting to feel the strain of trying to give to people who are not ready to receive what you have to offer? Let people come up to you. Okay, so get a copy of my book, the Six Figure Spiritual Business Book, okay? It will support you in putting a strategy in place to build so that at a later point, you can then bless, okay? Come into my community, come hear how I can support you in all the different ways, but start with the book. Start with the book, start implementing that strategy, start living in line with your purpose profitably. It is time. It is time. It is time. You are called to so much more, and you know it. There is so much more of life to experience, and you know it. You are meant to live free, fulfilled, financially abundant, a love-drenched life. Well, it's time to stop waiting for it to happen to you. It is time for you to start creating it. Within you are skills, are abilities, is wisdom that you can use to change people's lives if you will allow yourself to set up a side hustle, set up a business that you can do around whatever it is you're doing right now that will create an extra income source for you and also make the difference that you're here on this planet to make. So get a copy of the book. The link is around this video, around the audio, depending on where you're listening to this. If you're on Instagram, it's in the link in my bio. Go get a copy of the book. Until the next time, my loves, it's been a pleasure as always hanging out with you. Much amazing love. Go forth and prosper. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.